Well, hello there and good day. Thank you for joining me. I am Frost PDP, and today we're going to be continuing our discussion about the future of the Dragon Ball franchise. This is the second part of a two-part analysis, so if you haven't already seen the first video, check the link in the description. Last time on the Dragon Ball Diatribe, we analyzed Dragon Ball's financial success and confirmed that both Toei Animation and Shueisha, the publisher of Shonen Jump, have set up separate departments to produce more Dragon Ball content. We ended the video by looking at the chart you see on your screen, a 2015 diagram by Empire Magazine showing how the Marvel Cinematic Universe can be sketched out into a long-term plan for each character and concept. In my last video, we made the prediction that Dragon Ball's creators, from Toriyama to Toyotaro and everyone in between, should be doing something similar to what Marvel has done with the run-up to Infinity War. Today, I'm going to propose a few possible storylines under the premise that Android 17's wish at the end of the Tournament of Power has restored the universes Zeno-sama previously eradicated. We talked about how Zeno had eliminated 6 of them in the past. They are now back. We're going to call this story arc The Lost Universes, with intrusions from them forming the central theme of the arc. It would not be unfair to compare the impact of these universes with the plot device nature of the Infinity Stones from Marvel, and each spin-off title could deal with a particular thread of the arc, with the whole cloth weaving together at the end, or at least at a good midpoint. Remember, this is just fanfiction style conjecture, so let's begin. For our first segment, let's consider the Sun family. On the surface, you might assume that this part of the story will focus on Goku. Unfortunately for our hero, either due to the results of the Dragon Ball Super movie airing in December or for some other reason, Goku, kinda like usual, just isn't around. Depending on Chi-Chi's mood, Goten may seek out training under any of Universe 7's great heroes. Android 17 is a good bet, as Goten held up well while he was acting park ranger. On the other hand, she might choose to keep training him herself. Remember how she did that in the Buu saga? It would be interesting to see how they relate. Goten is getting older and seeking more independence, but for the first time in his life he finds that his family is actually giving it to him and letting him make choices. However, I would argue that the character with the most potential for real practical growth is Gohan. However, unlike the Cell games where the answer was Gohan getting angry and smashing Cell into bits, Gohan's best character appeal comes from the intellectual restrained side of him. And so we don't just want him to devolve into a combat monster, especially after his intellect paid off in the Tournament of Power. Here we're going to cross over some of the lore of the Dragon Ball Super manga into the plot. Remember how at the start of the Zamasu arc we learned that Trunks had undergone the very same ritual Gohan had during the Buu saga? In the manga's continuity, this makes someone into a Kaioshin apprentice. Not only does this give Gohan extra powers that shift his purpose in combat away from simply punching things and towards leading and guiding a team, but it opens up the possibility of Gohan embracing his semi-divine nature to help protect his universe by serving directly under Shin. This may lead to Gohan spending time away from Videl and Pan if they don't accompany him, but maybe we'll find something else for Videl and Pan to do. For now, we're going to move on. Hey, remember when Vegeta first suggested visiting the Saiyan King of Universe 6? Remember how many videos came out suggesting there will eventually be a Sadala arc? From Geekdom 101 to Masco X, pretty much everyone in the YouTube Dragon Ball community is giving the Sadala arc their own twist. Without further ado, without knowing most of what's even suggested, here's mine. The premise of this spin-off title is that Vegeta, Bulma, and some others go on a trip to Universe 6. This title would be aimed at a more mature audience, invoking more mature themes similar to how Vegeta has grown into a father with something to protect, just like we've grown up with him, and Bulma has grown into a mother with something to take care of as well. As our story opens, Bulma has just gotten done putting Trunks and Bulla, or Bra if you want to call her that, to bed. Vegeta is up. He's pensive. He's clearly lost in thought. Bulma asks him what's on his mind, and he reveals that he's planning to ask Whis how to get to Universe 6, so that he can keep his end of his promise to Cabba and visit them. Initially, Bulma doesn't exactly agree. They have one of their little arguing spats, with her chiding him about wanting to leave so soon after they almost all died in the Tournament of Power. After their argument wakes their children, Vegeta becomes even more introspective. Maybe intending for Trunks to learn a lesson, Vegeta explains how his lifelong pursuit of Kakarot might have given him the power to help save the multiverse in the Tournament of Power, but he'd also discovered that he'd stopped looking for his own source of strength a long time ago. He wants to start by honoring his promise to Cabba, maybe even to see a Saiyan race that isn't hell-bent on war, but he's afraid Lord Beerus will say no. Bulma suddenly becomes cheerful. and suggests that Vegeta go see Dende. After all, following the match between Universes 6 and 7, they had resurrected the planet Earth from Universe 6, and maybe that gave Dende a way to cross between the two. Don't forget, she says, you still need to apologize to Mr. Popo for destroying the time chamber again. Vegeta looks distinctly unhappy at this suggestion. As the plot rolls on, Vegeta arrives at the lookout. He and Dende exchange words. Dende reassures Vegeta that he knows the prince has changed, and suggests that it's time for him to break free of the last shackles of his otherwise twisted past. After some easily abridgeable words with Mr. Popo, Dende mentions that there is a new doorway that appeared in the lookout when Lord Beerus restored Universe 6's Earth into existence. Dende is confident it's a portal, but he's too afraid to cross himself. He can't sense any life energy on the other side. Around this time, Piccolo and Gohan arrive at the lookout. Dende excuses himself to talk to the two, and while Vegeta is busy texting with Bulma, he overhears something about Gohan beginning his training. It turns out that Gohan is prepared to study with Dende and Shin in order to help serve the Kais, as he was made an apprentice. Vegeta compliments him on this newfound devotion. Videl has volunteered to stay back with Chi-Chi and watch Pan and Goten. Bulma texts Vegeta back, see if they can watch Bra too. I'm going with you, and so is Trunks. Gohan is willing to ask Videl to watch them, but Piccolo imposes one condition. He, too, is joining the group headed to Universe 6, at least until they reach planet Namek. Piccolo, too, has something to settle. Since this is my personal Cloud Castle-y fanfiction scenario of choice, I could go on all day. However, just to give you a summary where I would take this arc. First off, planet Namek is weakened by sacrificing so many heroes when they fused into Saunel and Purina, and that's why Namek's fallen victim to Frost, not me, who is trying to emulate Frieza in building up a military empire. Frost wants his revenge against Vegeta, but Piccolo steps up and proves he's not just some green chump. Maybe we even involve a few Kami and Nail scenes too, since seeing them in the tournament was an awesome callback and really well-deserved character development. When the dust settles, the Namekians reveal that the two fused Namekians, Saunel and Purina, are actually helping the Saiyans try to fend off a new threat to the galaxy. There is a man with 3 eyes who is terrorizing the galaxy, having mastered numerous alien techniques. Bulma instantly worries that Tien Shinhan may have knowledge about this, but since they're actually closer to planet Sadala than Earth, they decide to push on and see what this King of the Saiyans knows about this new threat. Please, do leave a comment if you want to hear me go on about this fantasy, but we're going to be moving on after this. Let's shift our focus back to Earth. As a reminder, Goku isn't available, and Earth knows it. When invaders claiming to be from another universe arrive and take over Kami's lookout, Vegeta and Piccolo can't return home even if they wanted to, either. Humankind must save itself. These intruders begin looking for high concentrations of spiritual energy to harvest, and they lock onto a careless Goten who, now a bit older, turns out to still be training with his mother. Luckily, Chi-Chi has also learned a few new tricks and helps fend them off. When the aliens go for Pan, Videl turns up the heat and stalls until Android 18 can arrive, declare that it's time she paid Mr. Saint back for all of those easy tournament payoffs, and drafts Krillin into helping out against the bad guys. Then, 18 surprises everyone by promising to train Videl into becoming the fighter her father never could be. Tien Shinhan and Muten Roshi call up humanity's best warriors to intercept the next wave of attacks and to try to liberate the lookout. After taking down a relatively weak lackey, they discover that the invaders are actually after the MVP of the Tournament of Power. After all, the hero who restored the lost universes to existence must, surely, be the most powerful warrior in the multiverse. Our heroes arrive to find Android 17 is wounded because he's been protecting his island instead of himself. After a little solar flare from Tien, they manage to lure the intruders into a suitable wasteland and begin to throw down. Reinforcements for both sides arrive. Mr. Satan brings Majin Buu to help out. Videl lends a hand by fending off some attackers while feeding good old Yamcha and Chaozu some senzu beans. Mr. Satan straps on a jetpack and who cares? Just as long as the overall plot is furthered and we get some depth on our favorite old characters, that's what we want, for them to get some burn. We get to learn more about the broader world of Dragon Ball without everything being focused around the Saiyan characters. So, way back in March, I asked for suggestions from some of the Dragon Ball community's biggest names, and I got a response. Herms was awesome enough to get back to me with his suggestion that our favorite nutbar from Universe 3, Catopelsa, should get his own storyline. See, any character who is not already included in the main story arcs could have their own spin-off manga, maybe even an anthology of titles. These titles could reveal clues to the overarching plot, or could reveal the consequences of some actions that other characters take. For example, Catapelta has already met the three-eyed villain terrorizing Universe 6, and perhaps he's already fended off an invasion like the ones Earth Special Forces has dealt with. But he doesn't have approval from his superiors to tell the other universes, at least not yet. So, now that I've thrown a bunch of ideas at you, here's a very rough chart of what this might look like mapped out similar to our Marvel Cinematic Universe diagram from earlier. Just like with the various films at Marvel, there are a multitude of different titles and story arcs, all leading up to one final, conclusive capstone at the end. Or at least one time that all of the characters end up in the same space before they're split up again. And hey, Zoe, I'm always available to hire. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. I know this is something we YouTubers harp on about, but if you enjoyed this video, please mash the like and subscribe buttons, share on Twitter and Facebook and all of that, and leave a comment if you want to share your personal favorite Cloud Castle fanfiction. Thanks again, La Paz.